guys, I'm FPL Nymphria and welcome to the home of FPL videos. In this video, we'll take a look at 5 template teams designed to help aid you on how you could set up your FPL teams for the 1920 Premier League season. Each draft will cover the main players as mentioned in the name of the draft, with mention to other key players who could make up the rest of your 50-man squad. Feel free to watch, gather ideas and pick and mix players until you get the perfect balance for you. Oh, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more FPL content. First up is the Fantastic Four draft. This is effectively putting all your eggs in the upfront basket by investing the majority of your cash in your 3 forwards and 1 premium midfielder. So we'll start with the forwards. The most expensive forward in the game at 12 mil, Aguero. Aguero scored 21 goals and got 11 assists in 2,457 minutes last season, getting him 201 points in the official FPL game. Aguero is currently on holiday after his stint in the Copa America and so hasn't travelled with the Man City squad to Asia, but whilst at the Copa America he finished 3rd with Argentina. He started all but one of their games and got 2 goals and 3 assists in 7 games for Argentina over the whole of the summer. Next up is Aubameyang. Aubameyang was not only the top scoring forward of the official FPL game last season with 205 points, but he was also joint Golden Boot winner. With 22 goals and 7 assists in 2,022 minutes, he may have flown a little under the radar due to the performance of the Arsenal team as a whole last season. He also hasn't turned heads in the pre-season friendlies. Lack of game time has probably aided this, but in the game time he has played, he has managed 1 goal and has got an assist for an own goal as his only returns. He's not to be written off though, especially if Arsenal can sort out some supportive signings. Or you could look to his alternative in Lacazette, who is of course a little bit cheaper and has been doing quite well in pre-season. But much with Emery, we will need to see how he is going to set up this Arsenal team going forward to know that Lacazette will get the game time we all desire as FPL managers. Moving on to Harry Kane. Not the best season for Sir Harold last season, with 17 goals and 6 assists in 2,423 minutes. It's a far cry from the 16-17 season where he managed 29 goals and 7 assists. However, there is a lot of chat about Spurs facing Aston Villa at home as their opening game. Spurs, at the time of making this video, have had just 1 friendly match so far, ending in a 3-2 win over Juventus. Harry came on at half-time when Spurs were 1-0 up and scored the winner in injury time with a first-time shot from the halfway mark. Will this be his season, and will he score in August? We'll have to see. Last but not least is our premium midfielder spot. Now, both Mane and Salah got the Golden Boot last season, but given they are now much closer in price, Mane being 11.5 mil and Salah being 12.5 mil, and the fact that Mane will be late back from the African Cup of Nations, therefore missing the Community Shield, I have opted for Salah here, especially as it would be easy to downgrade from him. Salah got 259 points last season in 3,254 minutes from 22 goals and 12 assists. He has also done well for Egypt over the summer, getting 2 goals and 2 assists in the 5 games he played for them during the whole of the summer. Now the rest of this team show how you can go big on these 4 players, but not to ultimately expect much from the rest of your team. So that's the Fab 4, taking up nearly half of your budget with these big hitters, and then it's a case of filling your boots with the budget players. I'll be covering a budget player draft later in the video, so stay tuned for some ideas there, but for now I've filled the best of the rest with cheap budget previous season performers, promoted hopefuls and players with good fixtures. This is the Park the Bus draft. As you can see, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Focuses solely on playing a 5-4-1 or a 5-3-2 for that reason. Your defence should consist of as many defenders who can cover as many attacking returns and bonus points as possible. Why? Because any of these teams could concede at any time, and then the defenders lose their clean sheets along with it. The best chance of them getting big points. That is, unless they can grab you something attacking. Also, if you are spending big in a keeper, you want to make sure they are most likely to get clean sheets, and especially approaching a VAR season. You need them to be able to get penalty save points just in case. It's for this last point that I've placed Pickford at 5.5 million goal. As third best goalkeeper last season with 14 clean sheets, he also saved 3 of the 5 penalties he faced in the Premier League last season, as well as saving a few in penalty shootouts for England over the last 2 summers. Moving on to our defenders, and our first spot goes to Robertson, and the first of our 3 Liverpool defenders. Robertson was the top scoring defender with 213 points last season in 3,216 minutes played. A large chunk of these points came from his 12 assists and 21 clean sheets. Staying with Liverpool, we have the second best scoring defender of last season in Van Dijk. At 6.5 mil, he's a little cheaper than his other counterparts, and he got 4 goals, 4 assists and 20 clean sheets in 3,384 minutes. And why not make it a hat-trick of Liverpool defenders and add in the third best defender in the league last season in Trent Alexander-Arnold? TAA is the same price as Robson at 7 mil and did play less minutes than the other two at 2,460 minutes. However, he used his time well, grabbing 1 goal and 13 assists and 16 clean sheets. Taking our defence away from Liverpool now, as 3 could be a tad risky, not only because if they concede, that's 3 clean sheets gone, but also means you can have no attacking players for Liverpool. So we'll move on to Man City and Laporte. Laporte was just behind the Liverpool men last season, getting the 4th best defender spot, with 177 points from 3 goals, 3 assists and 18 clean sheets in 3,056 minutes. City have a great start to the season, only facing Spurs from the top 6 in their first 6 games. A City player is a must, I feel. Lastly is Digne. Like Laporte, Everton have a kind start to the season, avoiding any of the top 6 in their first 6 games. Digne can be a bit of a hit and miss player, but his love of getting forward draws us FPL managers to him like a moth to a flame. He got 4 goals and 5 assists in 2,964 minutes last season, and at 6 mil could be your last premium defender. Going big at the back doesn't seem to be too detrimental to your team, with you still being able to afford the most expensive forward in the game, Aguero. Drop him down to someone you prefer and you could free up even more cash in midfield, which already doesn't look too shabby. My next draft is a Midfield Mountain draft, putting your money in the midfield. There's some great attacking options here, so let's take a look. Salah is covered in my Fab 4 draft. There's really not much more to say about Salah. You're either on board or you're not. He's owned by 37% of managers already, and that number is sure to rise as we get closer to the start of the season. He's also a great player to downgrade from, should it prove more lucrative to go without. Next we have Sterling, the second best midfielder last season with 234 points from 17 goals and 15 assists in 2,770 minutes played. At 12 mil, he always seems to deliver no matter how many minutes he gets. And he's also tearing it up in pre-season. Granted, that is without Aguero, so he is being allowed more time in the centre. However, Sterling does well wherever he's placed. Moving on to Mane, joint Golden Boot winner of last season with 22 goals and 3 assists in 376 minutes. He helped his nation of Senegal finish as runners-up in the African Cup of Nations with an assist and 3 goals along the way. Most people will have got 2 Liverpool defenders, and either Mane or Salah, but there was a time last season I had this Midfield Mountain duo and it proved extremely profitable. Next up is De Bruyne, a player we didn't see much of last season due to injury problems. He got 2 goals and 3 assists in 968 minutes. At 9.5 mil, KTB is here to mainly show you how big you can go with the likes of Salah, Mane and Sterling in your team. And he's not doing so badly in pre-season either, which is good. Hopefully that means he's got rid of that niggling injury. Lastly is a player that largely flew under the radar last season, the fourth best midfielder in the game, Sigurdsson. He got 13 goals and 6 assists in 3,122 minutes and is Everton's penalty taker. With a great start to the season as mentioned earlier in the video, Siggy could be a shout. He has already looked dangerous in pre-season. Although he's not yet got on the score sheet, he has hit the post and the crossbar. However, breaking news, I did hear he may have picked up an injury in his last pre-season match, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, I realise a Midfield Mountain makes the rest of this team look very light, especially with no real striker to speak of, but drop down the likes of Sigurdsson for Tielemans, and suddenly you can upgrade Kodjia to King and Duffy to Wan-Bissaka. Drop KDB down instead of Sigurdsson to the likes of Zaha, and you've got even more cash to play with in these areas. But hopefully showing you how you can go big in the Midfield Mountain gives you some ideas. This is the balanced squad draft. This means different things to different people, but for me a balanced squad is 2 premium players in each position and a premium goalkeeper. Now, as with the others, these could be any of your choosing, but for example I have gone with Kane and Vardy up front. Kane can of course be Aubameyang, and I have discussed both previously in this video. Vardy was the 4th best forward in the game last season with 174 points from 18 goals and 5 assists in 2,726 minutes. Leicester City fixtures are mixed to start, but they have made some great signings this summer and could kick on this season. One of those signings, Tielemans, assisted Vardy for his equalising goal against Cheltenham Town in their pre-season match. In midfield, we of course have Salah and Sterling as the premium mids, again talked about earlier in the video. In defence, I have gone with Walker instead of Laporte, purely for price reasons here. Walker got a goal and assist last season and 18 clean sheets. Laporte is the preference here, but with those fixtures, Walker is a cheaper way in, and I've opted for Trent as my last premium defender and Pickford as my premium goalkeeper. Usually this is one of my preferred drafts, but I can already see a lot of problems with this setup this season. It would be so heavily reliant on budget players like Greenwood, who are not guaranteed full game time, that I'm actually leaning to some other drafts this season instead. Saying that, I can already see where I could downgrade in areas and up the likes of Hurricane. For instance, if KDB is fit, he could be a cheaper alternative to Sterling. Likewise, Mane for Salah, and going with another 9.5 in Lacazette instead of Kane next to Vardy could also free up a lot of funds. So there's plenty to tinker with this team if you can see potential in this setup. Moving on to our last draft, the budget draft. In this draft, I have tried to pick out some budget gems. Everyone within this team is 7.5 mil or less. I also have a playing bench, so hopefully this team will allow you to gain some ideas on how to fill in around your preferred premium players from the other drafts. That is, unless you really just don't care about having a cheap team, so here goes. The first name on the team sheet is Giroud. At 7 mil and the seemingly now main striker of a top 6 team, Giroud could be a gem. He's already got 2 goals over the summer to go along with the 2 goals and 4 assists in 808 minutes last season. However, you could see that rising this season with Chelsea's transfer ban. He will face competition from Abraham and Batshuayi, both of which have showed a scoring touch in pre-season. Next to Giroud is Kingy. Kingy got 141 points last season from 12 goals and 3 assists. Bournemouth have a great start to the season with only a Man City bump in the road. With a downgrade elsewhere, you could upgrade Kingy to his teammate Wilson, who outscored him last season with 14 goals and 12 assists in 2,528 minutes, as well as scoring a brace against Wimbledon in pre-season. Next up is Jimenez, a surprise addition to the Premier League last season with Wolves. He got 13 goals and 10 assists for 181 points and the accolade of 3rd best striker in the game last season. He has carried that form through the summer, playing an integral role in Mexico's successful Gold Cup campaign, scoring 5 goals and providing 4 assists in 6 matches, including an assist for the only goal in the final against the USA, with Jota, who helped Wolves win the Premier League Asia Trophy, scoring twice against Newcastle in the semi-final. Now joining the forward position, it'll be interesting to see which of the two will prove to be the better option. Midfield is full of 7 mil options this season, so you'll forgive me for rattling through them. them. First up is Fraser, again for Bournemouth's great fixtures, but also his 7 goals and 14 assists in 3,165 minutes, making him the 4th best midfielder in the game last season. The wee man has hit the ground running in the South Coast sunshine, bagging 2 goals already in pre-season. Next is Lucas Moura. The biggest question with Lucas is game time, but with Sonny out for the first 2 games at the start of the season, I would have thought Lucas plays. He got 10 goals and 2 assists last season in 2,115 minutes, has a goal and assist in a friendly match against Barcelona, unless we forget the Champions League heroics last season. Moving on to Milivojevic. Millie got 12 goals and 2 assists last season. He quietly ticked away. Most importantly, he scored 10 penalties, only missing 1 against Pickford, who saved 3 of the 5 penalties he faced in the 18-19 Premier League season. With VAR being introduced this season, penalty takers could be a must. This spot could also be given to Zaha. We'll need to keep our eyes peeled there though, as Zaha's possible move to Arsenal could question whether that makes him a more or less appealing FPL asset. Beside Millie is Maddison. There's now so many options in Leicester midfield. I debated if this should be Tielemans or Perez instead, who have had an assist and a goal respectively this summer, and it still could be. However, if you stick with Maddison, he got 7 goals and 7 assists last season in 2,831 minutes. Now my last midfielder spot goes to Anderson. For those of us that got trolled by him last season, you'd probably rather another of those cheaper Leicester mids instead. However, West Ham do have a decent start to the season after their first matchup with City, and Anderson got 9 goals and 6 assists in 3,045 minutes last season. Moving on to the defence. The defence is, well, as good as the Park the Bus draft, and most of these players have been covered in that draft. However, Azpilicueta makes it into this draft, for something different. 7th best defender last season with 1 goal and 6 assists and 16 clean sheets in 3,402 minutes. So far this summer, Chelsea are yet to see the ball hit the back of the net, whilst Azpilicueta has been on the pitch, only conceding goals once he's been subbed off. So he could be a shout. Luiz got 6 more points than Aspi last season, so could also be worth a consideration. However, unless you're going to play 5 at the back every week, there really would be no need to spend this much here, and the cash could be skimmed here and invested forward. Lastly is Edison. Alisson was the highest scoring goalkeeper last season, but most will have gone for Liverpool defence or attack. So Edison, with his 20 clean sheets and an assist for 169 points last season, especially with that start to the season, could be the main premium goalkeeper in the game. He was away with Brazil as they won the Copa America, but he ended up watching it all from the bench as Alisson played every game. So guys, I hope that's helped. It's at this point I'd like to say thanks to my sponsors Fancy Football Fix. Make sure you go check them out. The link will be in the description below. And that's it. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please don't forget to like, share, hit that notification bell and subscribe for more FPL videos. Until next time, Nymphrya out.